So here we go. It's Monday, starting with a new week here at SNG, and of course we're working further on the Moonwatcher project. So, I mean, this video is just about that project. Star Child's about that project, and if we do a mix of what's going on in the studio, we will if we have time for it, but basically we're switching gears again here at SNG and showing you how things are done pretty much blow by blow per project. So it's less confusing. I've had some emails saying, well, I wish you would have had the ear-making project all conclusive, and we will do that from now on. So say good morning to George here, who's mixing me up some more stuff from Berman's, which is TC, geez, I should know this number by heart. 808, which is basically like a Lumelite or Castmaster, or any kind of rigid urethane two-part casting medium. I want to fill this in here. This is our teeth molds because we had a leak, but it's okay. So we'll fill this so it's got a little mother mold on the back of it. This one, on the other hand, is fine. And George covered these up with clay over the weekend, so that the plastic bags, so that the clay wouldn't dry out, and that was very successful. Because what happens is the clay dries out, it shrinks, and it'll start to squeeze in on the silicone, and that's not a good idea. It could cause some kinds of distortion. So I'm going to remove all this clay here, and we're going to open this mold up, and you can see a nice teeth mold. So here we are. George poured up some of that stuff, and so now even though it's a little thin, we got a little supporting mother mold, and I'm going to pull up all the clay from this, just like I did on the other one. And this is really deep because we got those big incisors, and so that meant having a deeper mold. So, and then somehow it leaked somewhere, although I can't seem to find where it leaked to. It's probably inside the eyeballs. So we're going to take all the rest of this clay off, and then we'll end up with something that looks like this, which is what I'm going to pour dental acrylic into. Gotta get the water out of it first. Pour dental acrylic into this tooth mold, and pull out a set of teeth that we can put on the underskull. So there we go. These are the top teeth. I've still got little bits of clay in here, and it's always unfortunate because that means the first run of material I'll put in there will be wasted. So probably what I'm going to do is just put some Castmaster, or I mean this stuff over here, in here, just like this is made out of. Pour it in, let it set up, yank out all this bad stuff, then run the dental acrylic. Okay, so George didn't wait for me. Sorry. And he pulled these out. And you can see all the impurities. And we don't want that in the dental acrylic. So, you know, pouring it up out of this resin, which is less money, this bottom part was pretty good. That came out pretty clean. This was the real problem when it was the top. Now we can pour dental acrylic. And you see how well it goes back together and all that stuff. So we're in good shape. Thank you, George. Did you get the dirt to the piece that was out in between there? Not really.
No, it wasn't. No,
yeah, see, there you go. That's why it didn't come out. And then over here, one good ear deserves another. So you can see how they're not exactly alike. Now, this I found was kind of an illusion, I think. I'm not quite sure, because with these pictures it's really hard to tell, but there's this hard edge going up here. That's this here, and it's also on this side, but this ear still is a little bigger than the other one and shaped a little different. And you can see, if I get the lighting the same on this, let's see, the similarities between that ear there and that ear there. So they're really close. I need to refine this more and then make a mold on both of these. So, I forgot to show you how to work with dental acrylic. Start with a fan, open the door, and have adequate ventilation, because I forgot how bad this stuff is. You think that what is it called? Polyester resin. Yes, that's it. Polyester resin is bad. This stuff will make anybody high. Okay, so we got our monomer, which is a liquid, we got a powder here, and if Mary will move the camera over here where we can see what's going on, I'm going to pour that into there. Can you see inside there, Mary?
Yes.
Okay. And I will need a popsicle stick. I'm going to stir this stuff around and watch how I get this sort of liquid. Now I'm going to do a little more because it could be a little thicker. This is not cheap material, but it's the best way to get a nice looking set of teeth. I'm going to put some more in there because it's still very liquidy. Okay, that's about the cutoff point there. Okay, and you have to work fast, especially on a warm day like this, because it is not going to take long to go off. So I'm going to pour that all in there just like that. And then we're going to wait for that to set up. So we'll come back here in a minute. When it starts to thicken up a bit more, I'm going to smooth it out, and that'll give us our front set of teeth. So there we are. It's all in the mold, setting up, and we'll open this up a little bit and pull the teeth out. So here I am. I'm back on the ears again. This one's pretty much finished, and I have to make that ear, of course, and I showed you how that's coming along. And what I'm doing now is just smoothing it out and trying to get this. Oh, it would help if I actually, okay, here we go. So what I'm trying to do now is just smooth it out a bit. And I haven't showed you much during this video about sculpting in any real detail. I use a number of different tools, none of which are handy currently. This is one of my favorite. This is actually was a saw blade off of a jigsaw. Actually, no, a bandsaw. And you never throw those away if you're a sculptor, because they have these serrated, well, you have these teeth here, and they're really good for smoothing. They make little lines like that, but they really smooth the clay out really, really, really very well. So, and then after you get it really, really smooth and everything, you can go back in on it and use kind of stiff brushes and turpenoid. Turpenoid works really good, which is like a synthetic turpentine used to do oil paintings with. It cuts this stuff really well. The other thing is 99% alcohol. Really works well on it too to smooth it. You kind of use the turpenoid first because that cuts it extremely. You know, it really cuts it fast. And after it does that, then you can go and smooth it out with something less aggressive like the alcohol, and you get something that looks like that. So, and I use a number of different tools. I use this is one of my favorites there. I also use I have a lot of dental tools like this one, which is really good for just going inside and smoothing further and digging out stuff. So you can make your own sculpting tools. I do that a lot. I'll take popsicle sticks and shape them. I think it was Robert Sokotek, my friend Robert Sokotek, who I did many movies with, or at least a few anyway. Actually quite a few. He used to tell me when I worked at his studio for a while, Steve, don't be afraid to use popsicle sticks. And so I never have been, and I've used them for a number of amazing things on big movies, including some of the ones I worked on for him, like Honey, I Blew Up the Kids, and I worked with Bob down at Roger Corman's New World Studios. We worked on Mutant, and we also worked on Battle Beyond the Stars and a few others down there. As you can see, the more I do this, now keep in mind as the camera kind of goes off the subject, it's because I'm watching what I'm doing. So I'm doing pretty good sculpting with one hand, holding the camera and getting this all formed up. So what I'm going to do next is take a little bit of turpenoid and smooth this out, and I'll show you how that works. Okay, so I got a little turpenoid here in a cup like that, because it will absorb into those. I got some alcohol over there. You'll see here in a second that this stuff really cuts this. And smooths it down. So if you're ever wondering how you get this clay to be smooth, it's just like using water on water-based clay, because water is the solvent for water-based clay, thus water-based clay, and it will cut the material, the clay, down and allow you to smooth it with a brush and just sculpt it into the shape you want. So I'm going to do that all the way around on this, and it starts looking less like clay and more like flesh as I do it. And then I'm going to take the alcohol, and because things go better with alcohol, and go like that. Now the ears come loose, so I'm going to have to lock it down again. But you get the idea. That's going to smooth it out really nice. And then we'll go back over with the alcohol. And then the last thing I'm going to do is add some texture to it, and we have ears to mold. See how that really smooths it down? And then you take your hand to it and smooth some more, and you can get it really like perfectly smooth, just like a real ear. So, and you try to keep it from going into the one you finished. It's always a good idea. I'm gonna go over here and get some alcohol and get rid of that sludge that got in there. That was dumb. It was dumb. So, and I'm gonna take a little bit of that and put it over here. It's really getting smooth now. So we're going to come back and put a little texture in this. First, let's open some teeth. So I'm going to put that there, and I'm going to take this and flex the mold like so. Hopefully we'll get some good teeth. Pops out. Those are some good teeth. You can see how hard this stuff is. It's really nice. So there's the lowers. We're going to get the uppers here, pop them out next. You gotta love silicone. And there's those. I have a little cleanup to do. Yeah, a little problem right there, but nothing really bad that I can't fix. So and that gives us a nice set of choppers, which I'm going to paint up the pink on there and stain the teeth a bit and shape them a little bit better, and we'll have a nice set of teeth for our Moonwatcher head. So now I'm kind of putting a little bit of texture in. I particularly love this ball shape tool, and I got several of these, and you just kind of look at your ear in the mirror. Look at a casting of an ear if you have one. Look at pictures of people. You got a person in the room. Go take a look at their ear. They got these little pores everywhere, and I put them kind of in like this. And then after that, I kind of take them down because they get to be too much. And they actually have a direction and a pattern that they follow, the pores, because that's what they are, as pores. And I do this all the way along, just kind of lightly in some spots, heavier in other spots. Always referring back to a real subject matter. Now I've done this enough to know, what's necessary. But this tool really works good. And then you'll see here in a minute, I'm going to take this down with a little bit of alcohol, because things go better with alcohol. And a little bit of extra light on there might help too. So we're going to do this like this. And it's getting there. We're going to do a little wash down here in a second. There's sometimes some on the lobe. Generally speaking, the skin is pretty smooth there. I just want to kind of give you an idea. After I get through with this, I'm going to go back and of course do more. Lighting is everything. Your lighting when you're sculpting. You need to be able to see the detail you're doing pop, so you want to constantly keep kind of changing it, angling it, to see, because if you just see it straight on like that, you don't really see much. You go like that and you get more dramatic shadows. Now I know there's big pores down in here, but I just want to do a little bit and then show you. I'm going to take this rather soft disposable brush and I'm going to kind of go over everything and soften it down. You can also use sponges. I got all kinds of sponges, and so what do? I get a piece of mattress foam, but it works good, so I kind of do that. And this will dry down in a second, and you can check it again and punch back up stuff if you need to. This definitely needs to be wiped down more, but you get the idea. This will wipe down and smooth out. You can see how much smoother that is than it was even moments ago. So I'm going to get a little bit more in here. And then smooth this down. Considering how much hair will be covering these and over here and stuff, and they don't show that well, these are probably more than what they need to be. Because their ears were rough for that same reason. You make what you need to have seen on camera. You don't worry about someone coming in the room, picking it up and saying, well, that doesn't look realistic. Ears don't look like that on the back. The camera will never see it. So I might still detail a little bit on the back just for the heck of it. So here I am with my teeth, and I've been working on them because what they did is they ground these down a lot. They're definitely chimpanzee teeth. That's exactly what they used. And when they ground them down a whole bunch to make them smaller, the incisors, you can see these big gaps between them, and I'm starting to get those now. It's pretty much as far as I want to go because they were all different. His were really thin, and so I may take them down a little bit more, but what I'm trying to do now is sand up these teeth and get them all smooth and everything. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some 600 grit here. I've used 120, 80 initially, and then, boy, that burns out. There we go. And now the 600 and wet sand it. You can see how these are kind of dull and not really like real teeth, and what I do is I go into here, take some 600 grit, and I start wet sanding them. And you can see now they're starting to look like real teeth. This is again why I like to use dental acrylic. You could just use resin, 2-part polyurethane resin, but this looks like teeth. And you hold it up to light, you can see how it passes light through it. It's really much better. I'm sure.
Can you do that again, Steve?
Oh, and you see if I hold light through it, you can see actually that they're translucent like real teeth, and you're not going to get that as much with 2-part resin. So I used initially 120 grit, and then I went to 400 grit, and now I'm using 600 grit. And in a minute here, I'm going to use toothpaste and a Dremel tool buffing wheel and get these pretty translucent. And then I'll need to paint the gums, of course, pink, and then put a clear coat on everything. But now they're looking like real teeth. Isn't that cool? So here we are, it's Tuesday, and we're back to work on Moonwatcher. And I've been working on hinging this and relearning things I have learned in the past. Like for instance, the hinge line is either should be at your actual hinge line for a proper amount of torque, or behind it. In my case, I've moved it behind. I've extended, you can see on the insides here. Here we go. Put this on like this. Fits pretty snug. You see, I can really, I can actually make this taut almost. And when I put a hinge in, spring, and probably elastic or spring, I'll be able to make it do. You should see how it works with the skin on it. It's really amazing. So it's very easy to move the hinge there. Now that I'm satisfied with how well, and I mean it really closes beautifully, I'm going to go ahead and take this marine putty here and I'm going to lock these teeth in position, and I'm going to paint the pink around that, and we're going to put it on the skin and see how it goes. Now, you know, I notice I have this off the skull cap, and the reason I've done that for now is there was a problem with getting this to fit close enough to my face that the skin would lie right in here the way it's supposed to. So I had to do some adjustments on that and have to reattach it back to the skull cap once I get that in place. But I'm afraid of these tacked-in teeth falling out. You can see just how shiny they are from the polishing. It really came out beautiful. These are gorgeous teeth. So we're going to block in this, hold this in really tight, put a little pink on that, and we're going to then get this to fit the skull cap right, open this up a bit more, and test the skin. So here we go. I've painted the gums, and what I have to do is wait for this to kind of dry a bit more, and tomorrow stain it in the teeth a bit. But it's looking really good. We still need that tongue, but we got a really good fit, and this whole thing is just so amazing. The underskull. I couldn't be more happy with how this turned out and how well it fits my head, which in fact it fits really well. So yeah, we're going to wait for this to dry a bit. We'll put the skin over this, and we're going to take a look of it on my head with the mouth opening, closing, with some pink gums and some teeth. So here we are. I'm just holding the skin on my face. It's not attached yet. There's no lip mechanism, but just wanted to show you how good this thing works. And the mouth will close all the way, and of course I'll be able to make it snarl and do that when I get the mechanism hooked up next. Pretty cool, huh? So here it is. It's what day is it today, Mary?
Today is the 13th of September.
That's right. And we are at the studio. That's a Wednesday, right? And I just pulled this off of here. This is our ear molds, and that I made very quickly. And as you can see, the silicone is set up pretty well. Try to get this off here. Like so. Nice little mold. And then inside here we got our clay, which I should be able to just pop out. It always amazes me when this clay sort of sticks to the silicone, because nothing sticks to silicone evidently except clay. But I'm going to pop this out. And if the sculptures get destroyed, it's always the way it goes. I hate it. The older I get, I start to whistle. Sculpture. What's the other one? Mushroom. I'm not doing it now. It looks like we got good molds here. I didn't want to make these out of stone, because if I made them out of stone, it would be really hard to dig the clay out, and you need a two-piece mold. This way, I only need a one-piece mold. If I can ever get this out, there you go. Mount wherever you are. God. Well, it will come out. It will. I will make it. We'll Klingon know-how here. Well, you know what? I'm going to use both hands. I'm going to come back and dig the rest of this clay out and show you what it looks like inside. Anyway, there we go. Beautiful molds. I mean, really, really nice. They're really pretty. Look at that. A little bit of bits of clay in there still, but you can see how the surface of them is just really nice, a little bit shiny from the Krylon I sealed these with, but this is going to be great. I'm going to Vaseline this up, add some parafilm, I think it's called, silicone release, because even though it's a silicone sticks to silicone, so if I just pour gel 10 in here, it's definitely going to stick to this and I'll ruin my mold. So what we're going to do is Vaseline is the perfect separator for silicone from silicone. We do it all the time. If we have a two-piece silicone mold, it's like if this was two pieces, we would Vaseline this all up and then pour the other side and they just peel away. Vaseline really works good. So this mold came out great. Now we have the ear molds. What we're going to do next is quickly sculpt the tongue mold, and then we're going to make the mold out of Ultracal, because I'm going to do the tongue, and I'm going to sculpt that, and it'll be kind of an open face mold like these ears are. And then for that I can use stone, because I don't have a lot of wraparound, and I can get the clay out easily, and then I can just pour in silicone to that. The silicone will not stick to the stone. I'll pull out a nice pink tongue, hopefully later today. Okay, so now we're going to sculpt the tongue. I just started doing it out of Chavant clay. I'm kind of matching what they have here. This picture's not that great to go with, but I've got a much brighter one up on my screen right now, and it shows clearly the tongue is shaped like this. So I'm even matching the tongue so it's the same. I got to make sure it fits in there, and then I can take it out. Camera over here, Steve. Camera over here. I'm going to take it out and then mold it in just plaster. Yeah. Okay, so here it is. I got a tongue, and that's just clay, so don't think it's finished. It's not. It's kind of pink like the gums, but you can see it's clearly Chavant clay. Now I need to pop that out of there, put it on this piece of plastic, and make a mold on it. All right, everybody, it's time to get plastered. I like getting plastered, don't you? This actually isn't plaster, it's Ultracal. I put some water in there. I put some Ultracal in there, and it's getting wet and thickish, but not too thick, and not too thin. Mixing it around. The thing about any kind of stone product you use like this, Egyptian product, this is much harder than plaster or Hydrocal. This is Ultracal 30. It's right up there with Daikeen, some of the dental stones that they used to make molds out of. It's pretty strong stuff. But if you make it too thin, it weakens it. So we're going to get a brush. We're going to get a brush. And get some water on the brush. You should always soak these in water and then kind of dry them out so they're because otherwise when you put it in here, it absorbs a lot of water out of the brush. Out of the material, and it gets thick, and you really can't brush it on here over here and get a good surface. Okay, so I'm gonna brush this material on here like this so I get all the detail. Now I've got that Krylon on there, which makes the surface really smooth, and a tongue should be somewhat smooth, have a little bit of shine to it. So, but I'm also going to go underneath, because I've got underneath the mold, underneath the ear, you'll see there's clay, because I want to be able to have it fit around the teeth and everything just right, the way I sculpted it in the mouth. So I'm going to make sure I get lots of it up under there, like so, and like so, and like so. This is just absolutely the perfect consistency, and I know that I've got underneath it pretty much all the way without any bubbles. So now I can take this, and instead of sitting here all night, all day, and encapsulate this like so. I needed to make sure I could get underneath the underside and get a splash coat in there so that when I fill this up I don't trap air. So I ran out of memory and I put another card in, but what I had done is I poured this into there and tapped and banged and stuff, and that settles it down. And now we know we got the whole thing. We'll let this sit for about an hour. It'll be hard as a rock, and we'll open it up and dig the clay out of the mold and make it out of silicone. So remember that silicone we saved that we mixed up too much of? George put it away for me like that. It's the same batch as for the skin, and I'm glad I saved it because I used it to pour up a first casting of ears. So now we got the tongue, we got the ears, we got just about everything. Oh yeah, and really, really, really cool. Remember that Klingon wig I made for the makeup I never did on myself? Look at this hair. This hair is nearly identical to what's on Moonwatcher, and it's already sitting on this latex cap, which fits this perfectly. And then it's way too long, so I'm gonna trim it, and also and I have more of this hair, and style it up over here and down onto the actual skin. So we're going to bring it down like this, the latex this far, and then that will be attached to this just by stitching into this. And from that point on, I'm going to overlay here onto this by punching it all through here, because you really can't get anything to stick to this stuff. So I can use more silicone to stick to it initially to get that edge up there, and then punch the rest, which is what they did. They did a lot of hand laying, but they also did a lot of punching up in here. I'm going to have to punch it because I can't stick to this. So I had a little bit of this left over, and so I decided to put the skin back in the mold, just enough so it would hold its shape fairly well. And get the lips tucked under there. It doesn't really matter though, because what I did is I tacked down a piece of cotton. Now this is in an area where there's not movement, so because it will stiffen it up, but it doesn't matter. This is where I'm hoping that the silicone, you can see it's kind of gone through the fabric, and what's acting like a glue will stick the fabric to the silicone, because silicone sticks to silicone and will not come off. And then that will allow me to put barge cement on this and glue it to the underskull, because you cannot glue silicone to anything except with more silicone. And I'd rather use the barge cement, because if there gets to be a little air between the silicone and the surface of the fiberglass, it could start to peel away over time. This will ensure me, if I use the barge cement, which is this stuff here, which is shoe glue, I won't have that problem. So yeah, so that's a test. We'll see if that works. We'll let that set up for a while. It seems it already has set up. Not quite. It's kind of gooey still, but eventually it'll be like this. And so this should stay permanently attached. And if that works out, then I can put a strip right here and right here, so I can glue the tabs in here to glue the tabs necessary to glue this to the controls that pull the lips. Also, I'll be able to glue down the nose. I need to glue down the nose, and I need to glue down around the eye so I can push this in so it fits tight against my eyes. So here we go. This is the little bit of cotton I put on here so I can glue down this with the barge cement. And I was just curious to how well this sticks. It's like I couldn't get it off here if I tried. It's stuck on so well. So this is going to work great. Really good. So I'm really happy about that, because now, I was kind of wondering, since I didn't put baldies on this, and the reason I didn't put baldies on this is because this is not a facial prosthetic that will get used once on a movie set. This is something that will be sitting around for a long time, and I wanted to make sure that, I got some powder on it, I wanted to make sure that it would last. Now, if I have baldies on the outside, it's a plastic cap that adheres to silicone pretty well enough that you can use it on a facial prosthetic. You can paint it with Pax paint, or you can use artist illustrator colors, makeup colors, and paint directly on it. And you also can glue things to it, hair and other stuff. But over time and all the movement and stuff, I think eventually it's going to give up the ghost. So I want to stick with pure silicone, and now that I have that there, I can glue it to the underskull. So now I know I can put it all the way around here, that actually works. A strip across here, a strip across here to hook the tabs to make the lips snarl. So that is great news. So here's our ears, and they're already set up. So, and you can see the silicone did not stick to the Vaseline at all. So, or should I say the silicone did not stick to itself. So I'm going to remove these. Okay, so there's my tongue mold. I managed to get all the clay out of there, which is a pretty good trick. There may be some left in there, but I think when I run the first tongue, it'll come out pretty good. But you can see the texture there, and everything's there. So now all I got to do is pour some silicone in there and pull out a nice pink tongue. So I pulled out the ears, which you saw me do, and I mean to tell you, these things are incredible. I mean, they move like a real ear. They don't have to be this good, but they are. Here's the other one. Okay, and I mean, you see, they're perfect. It's hard to get this with just foam rubber or latex. There's no seam. They're all one piece, and they're just beautiful. What are you laughing at? What?
Somebody's making fun of you.
Yeah, well, we'll just see about that, won't we? So, pink tongue. And it's not quite sat up yet, but you can see how easily it releases from the ultra-cal. Whoa, it's getting too close to the car. Yes, and the car is running. See, just in case you guys wondered, what this was. And
He's being very slow and very methodical.
No. The car. Anyway, so the ears came out great. We'll have a tongue in a minute. We'll put the tongue in here, and we'll put, let's see, the skin back on and position where the ears are going to go. But I now have to address putting on the skin and attaching it. I also have to make the mechanics to make the lips move and stuff. So we got a ways to go still, but by next week we should, by part 4, finish it. Okay, so there we go. The tongue fits just in there perfectly. The pink almost matches too, although I will probably be painting the tongue, but you can see that it goes right down over the teeth, just like the one in the movie. So that's really nice. So here we are. We've got some of the mechanics in. Well, actually, the mechanics in. Now, how this works is when the skin is on, and I'll attempt to show it here. It's like wrestling in a raged turkey in a can of Springs, but there it goes. Eventually these tabs will be, everything will be glued down, and these will have a bit of plastic on them, and they're going to be glued to the back of the lip, okay? So, and the lip will be over like that, and the lip will be over like that. And so when the mouth opens, what happens is that these pull back, and it pulls the lip open. So, to further demonstrate, just keep your eye on the birdie. Imagine those are the closed lips. And when my jaw opens up, you'll watch them move, see? And you can see where they're pulling from here. And they did something like this. I'm not exactly sure how, what they did, but it was something like this. So, and it's pretty fluid, pretty easy to open and close. And of course, these pop out, but the weight of the silicone will actually hold them down where they're supposed to be. So we'll attach that tomorrow and get this skin attached, so we'll be able to actually see that all working. And there's the inside. You can see how the housing is in there like this. And eventually this is all going to be covered over with padding and everything. So, but this is working out really well. I'm really pleased with it. Okay, here we go. It's Friday. It's the last day of the week, and this is the last part of what will be Moonwatcher Build Part 3. And what we're going to do today is try to attach the skin. It's kind of late. We started late. It's been really busy lately with all kinds of stuff going on, meetings and lunches and showing the show to people and everything that we've been working on. But and working on that too, which is ultra cool. So George has been doing a great job on this. But we want to get back to Moonwatcher because that's the topic. So what I've done here is I'll remove the skin. My one-handedness again. Okay, so there we go. There's the skin, and if you look on the back side of it, you'll see all kinds of fabric that's been placed in there to strengthen it and also be able to have some way to attach to it. Because silicone is hard to attach to silicone. I wanted the strength, which is why I put this underneath there. So, which is just a cotton material soaked with silicone. Now what I'm going to do is rough this up with sandpaper, and you can see on the back it's encapsulated with more fiber so that these tabs will not come loose from the cable. You notice when I open up the mouth how these retract, and when I shut the mouth they go back to their closed position. Now they're popping out like this because I don't have the weight of the silicone keeping them in place, but that's how that will work. It'll go. They just literally push back again. So when I open, boom, you can see how far the lips these will drop down and those will drop up. close it, and they're back down again. So that's very successful. You can see how the cable arrangement works on this. Take a good look, because if you want to do something like this, now's the time. They're just glued down with CA, and they hold just fine. What that is goldenrod cable that's used for model airplanes and for aileron cables, rudder cables and stuff running through the ships to control them. So the cable's designed to flex and bend around, and it works really good. They have it in 2 different sizes, and I've used it a lot. It's a little on the stiff side. I would prefer to use a softer cable, and I would if I'd had it around here, but this stuff should work really well. What we're going to do next is attach the skin with some more silicone to mix up and see if it'll stay stuck. And if it does, then we'll be able to move the mouth and watch the lips move. If it doesn't, then it means what I have to do is remove material from the back side of this, because remember I talked about this being a bit thick, but look how soft it is. It's so easy to move, so I should be okay. So what I thought I'd be so clever in using would be to use the barge cement, which is like a shoe glue that we use in creature making all the time. It's really strong stuff. It's tenacious. It won't come off anything. That is some of it just on this piece of plastic, right? So I put a little bit on the bridge here and let it dry, and as you can see, it just peels off. It doesn't even begin to stick to this, because what's happened is the silicone has gone through the fabric, and it's actually sitting on the outside of the fabric. I would have to use a much denser fabric than this to get it to work. Now it works as a contact cement, and you can see it's not working at all. So what that tells me is I have to use silicone to silicone. The cloth wasn't a waste because it strengthens and gives a little more bite for the silicone, but I'm going to have to mix up some silicone and mix it between, and put it on here, put it on here, put it across here, and then stick it down to this. And then when the silicone sticks, we know the silicone will stick to this, and we know it'll stick to the silicone itself in there. So that's what I have to do, and that's what this is, a learning process, because the originals are done with foam rubber, and we're not doing that. This is only a test. And this wig is a Klingon wig, which I'm going to adapt. But I don't have the elastic in there yet, but when the elastic in the mouth bite is in there, I'll be able to close the mouth all the way like this, or well, when I was trapped inside the Iron Maiden there, I was probably couldn't hear me that well, but there's going to be a bite in there that I bite down on that completely closes the mouth like that. See, that's full closed, which is a really nice close. I have some adjustments to make. I have to put glue down this eye a little bit more on this side. The other eye is fitting rather perfectly. It's just a matter of a bit more silicone. The silicone worked great. The Klingon wig will have more hair taken from the back and laid up here, and then styled to be the same as this, and punched hair, and we're going to paint that, stick the tongue in permanently, put the padding in, and that will finish it. And I could not be more stoked over how this is turning out. This is the 3rd week. This is the end of the part 3. Next week we finish it, and I can't wait. I just can't wait. We'll see you then.